Hey there, Jets fans. This is Matt Barbado, founder, editor-in-chief of New York Jet Fuel, doing our second video of a Jet Fuel video doubleheader, I guess you could say. Breaking down the Jets' latest pick, third-round selection, 83rd overall, Jordan Jenkins, outside linebacker, Georgia. So this is an interesting pick. I wrote the grade on it. Max wrote the breaking news post that you can find on www.nyjetfuel.com. Be sure to check that out. So to sort of open up this video breakdown of Jordan Jenkins in the second day of the draft, Max, I'll bring it to you. What is your grade for the Jordan Jenkins selection?
I like it. I'm going to give it a B because I think Jenkins is a nice find because he's not like a lot of the outside linebackers in this draft. I know, Matt, we had our podcast yesterday about how a lot of these outside linebackers are kind of the tweener type. They're smaller guys. They rely on their speed to get around the edge, get to the quarterback. You look at a guy like Jenkins, and he's strong. He has a high football IQ. He can really be a different kind of linebacker from a guy like Lorenzo Malden or a guy like Darren Lee, who's more versatile, that the Jets selected in the first round.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's interesting about him is he's not your typical outside linebacker. He's more of an inside linebacker. Not exactly going to be a guy who is going to be great off the pass rush. Not really going to provide you much in the pass rushing department. He played 5 technique at Georgia, so that just sort of shows his versatility. I think he's a guy who really could be a good contributor for the Jets on first and second downs. Not exactly going to be a third down player. But what I find interesting is the Jets are sort of rounding out and shaping their linebacking core. You've got Darren Lee, classified as an outside linebacker, but plays more of a safety role too. He's going to move around the defense a ton. You got Lorenzo Malden, who sort of was more of a situational pass rusher last season, and hopefully he can take the step as a full-time starter. And then you've got Jordan Jenkins, who could be a really interesting fit as a first and second down player. Adam, we didn't get your take. You didn't get to write your take on Jordan Jenkins, just the way the rotation shaped out. What do you think of this pick?
Well, Matt, I wasn't really expecting a linebacker in this round at first, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. There aren't very many positions on this roster, top to bottom, that really needed the help that linebacker needed. And what Max is saying is right. You know, with Darren Lee being such a versatile player, I just think that if you can plug both of them in here and there, the more help, the better. The way that it's shaping up with Jenkins, you know, scouts are talking about his high IQ. He was a team captain. He was a good leader. So just the kind of guy you want to plug in there. And the more that Bowles can mix and match with these guys, the better, because he knows what he's doing on the defense, especially, in my opinion. So to recap, I'm pretty happy with it. I was hoping for more of like an offensive lineman in this round, but if they feel good enough about Breno Giacomini, Brian Winters on the right side of that line, and they feel they can draft 2 linebackers, then absolutely bring Jenkins in, and I'm pretty happy with the pick overall. My grade that I'm putting in is going to be an A-.
Okay, all right. I think that might be the first A grade we've gotten so far through the first 3. I gave it a B+, so I'm not too far off.
Sure.
I really like this pick. I think this is, you can tell that the Jets have a plan with their linebacking group, and that's what's really interesting to watch. And I think this says a lot about what they're trying to do with Darren Lee. I think they're going to use Darren Lee in a bunch of different ways, and I think he's going to be a really versatile player for the Jets, and I think Jenkins is going to be a good pick as well. Max, what was your grade again?
I don't remember. Did I give a grade?
I don't think you did. So
If I did, I mean, I must have written it a minute ago. I'd say a B, B+. I like it. It's a good grade. I'm not going to be nice on McCagnon just because I'm not a nice guy. So I'm not going to give him that A. But I think in a couple of years we might say it's an A pick. It's a good value pick, and it gives the Jets a ton of options on defense. You look at Todd Bowles and the job he did with Calvin Pryor last year. Matt, we talked about it off air, I believe, that Calvin Pryor really, it was a very up and down, inconsistent rookie year, and Todd Bowles comes in year 2 and as a former safety kind of instructs Calvin Pryor, and all of a sudden we're saying that could be a very good draft pick for the Jets. So you look at a guy like Malden, you look at a guy like, and now the new guys, Lee, Jenkins, these are other guys that Bowles' impact could go a long way on them to start their careers. So I really like the pick. But, Adam, I thought it was interesting what you said about the offensive line, because I've been a believer that the Jets should target an offensive lineman, in the first day or two of the draft. And day 1 and 2 have came and gone, and the Jets have not selected an offensive lineman. And we'll talk about Christian Hackenberg, the prospect more specifically. But I want to talk about the Jets' option to pass up Cody Whitehair, the guard from Kansas State.
Yeah.
Because on the video that Matt and I did earlier, I wasn't so thrilled about that. So, Adam, if you have one pick between Whitehair and Hackenberg, who would you pick?
If you're giving me those two guys, Max, I'm going to take Whitehair. And I know you're bringing him up because he was your the pick in round 2 when we wrote that article. And mine was similar because it was an offensive lineman. I figured, okay, they need to have somebody in these first 3 rounds. So I gave them Nick Martin. And if the Texans actually jumped ahead of the Jets, one pick ahead to take Nick Martin, the center / guard out of Notre Dame. I was one pick off, yeah. But I would pick, if you're giving me those two, I'm going to pick Whitehair because if the Jets had to pick a quarterback in round 2, I felt Connor Cook was a more complete prospect, ready to compete for the job in the first in the first year of his career, just in case Fitzpatrick isn't going to come back after all. Hackenberg, you know what, man? Guys, I'm from, I'm going to school right now at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. Got a lot of Penn State fans around me, and when I told them we picked Hackenberg, they were not really impressed. They said, one of them actually said "R.I.P. Jets," which is a little extreme. It's a little extreme. I know.
They've been dead for a while.
And then, when you compare that to Pete Prisco giving him an A+, it's just what a strange range of grades for this one quarterback prospect. I would have picked Cook over Hackenberg, but if you're giving me Whitehair versus the option of Hackenberg, I would have pulled the trigger on Whitehair. I think that Brian Winters hasn't really shown us enough to prove himself as a starting right guard for 2016, and he deserves a little competition to get that position this year, in my opinion. So that's what I would feel about that, Max.
And in case you're wondering who this third voice is on the three-headed monster video we have here, I didn't even properly introduce him at the beginning. This is Adam Zalonka, our newest writer to Jetfield. You can follow him on Twitter at Adam_Zalonka, and you can follow Max, of course, at mmarcilla98 if you really want to. I don't know. It's not an appealing option for many people to follow Max. So
most importantly, Adam, tell everyone where you're going to school next year.
Oh, of course, yeah. This just happened to work out this way before I even joined Jet Fuel or met Max Marcia, but I'm going to be doing a master's in journalism at Maryland, University of Maryland, starting in the fall, and I'm going to be arriving at College Park right around the same time Max is going to be joining there.
2 Terrapins and 1 Marquette Golden Eagle on this Jet Fuel video.
Yeah, and we've probably had more football success than the Terrapins combined, even though
likely. Sean Davis, 2nd-round pick from Maryland. So there you go. And then Yannick Ngakoue also selected today. But Matt, I know the two of us, we talked about Christian Hackenberg, and Adam brings up an interesting point: Connor Cook versus Hackenberg. Who do you think is the better prospect right now? And keep in mind, Cook hasn't been picked. So
that's what's crazy.
I was just going to check that.
It's a little weird because he's definitely fallen, and a team will definitely take him as a backup probably in this stage of the draft. But Matt Barbado, the scout, who do you think is the better prospect now, and who do you think will go on to have the better career, Cook or Hackenberg?
I mean, I'm double checking just to make sure, and I'm refreshing his page right now. And Connor Cook has not been drafted, and I saw Jacoby Brissett from North Carolina State and Cody Kessler from USC.
Kessler has even been taken first.
Yeah, they got taken ahead of him. So
wow,
that says a lot about where NFL scouts view Connor Cook, which I find interesting. Cook they both played in the Big Ten Conference, so they're actually pretty comparable, Cook and Hackenberg. I evaluated Cook. I liked what I saw from Cook. He's sort of limited in what he can do. I don't think he's the most accurate thrower. He's got pretty good arm strength. Hackenberg, on the other hand, doesn't really have a ton of accuracy at all. Also has good arm strength, but Hackenberg also didn't play in front or behind much of a offensive line, and we said this in the last video. Hackenberg got destroyed at Penn State, and you know what? Connor Cook took his share of hits too, because the Michigan State offensive line was nothing special either, outside of Jack Conklin, who was a top 10 pick. Yeah. But Yeah, I mean, I like Cook a little bit more. Cook was able to succeed more at Michigan State, and I think college production, winning in college, I think that matters. Not as much as what you see on tape, but I really have to sit down and I have to evaluate Hackenberg more. Our fourth writer, Nick Delahanty, actually wrote about Hackenberg. He did a Future Jets scouting report on him, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, I have to look into Hackenberg, and I think I'm going to do that a little bit later tonight once all of this wraps up. Um, but right now I would go Cook, but judging how Cook is falling right now, I might lean Hackenberg after I study him a little bit further.
Sure. And this is something I wanted to point out about grading a draft pick within minutes or hours after he was taken. We don't know what's going to come in the future. We're basing things off the tape from their college careers and their scouting numbers and their combine numbers, things like that. So what we're all throwing around here as far as letter grades is pretty subjective in a way, but we can base a lot of factual information based off what we've seen in college at the same time. So it's a balancing act overall.
It's totally objective. No, I agree with you 100%. And we're comparing film and combine numbers and whose hands are 3/8 of an inch bigger. But at the end of the day, when you're evaluating an NFL career against an NFL career, you have to think about fit. Which player fits best in the system? Who has the best weapons? Who has the best offensive line? The coach, even the city. If you're a quarterback and you don't throw well in cold weather, there's an infinite number of variables there. So to sit down hours after the Jets pick Hackenberg, yes, we can say he was inaccurate in college, but having a guy with a big catch radius like Brandon Marshall, having a guy like Eric Decker who can work around the slot on the edge, having a tight end like Jason Morrow who could come back, and if he could be a nice security blanket, look, I don't even know if Hackenberg is going to play at all this year, but there's a couple nice pieces for Hackenberg, for any young quarterback, as a matter of fact. So it's not always comparing apples to apples when you're comparing NFL quarterbacks to the fits of their system that they're in.
So let's quickly wrap up this video, recapping day 2 of the NFL draft for the New York Jets. So let's just take a look at what they've done today. They took Christian Hackenberg, obviously 51st, Jordan Jenkins, 83rd. I think we would all agree that we like the Jenkins pick a lot more than we like the Hackenberg pick. But I'm curious to wrap this thing up. One big takeaway from what the Jets did on the second day of the NFL draft. Adam, will let you lead it off.
Sure, Matt. I can give you 2 big takeaways. One would be that they don't have a lot of confidence in re-signing Fitzpatrick. If they're going to draft a quarterback as high as the second round, I was a little surprised to see that they would draft a quarterback that high. So something tells me that they're erring on the side of caution there and figuring that Fitzpatrick is more likely to retire than to sign back with the Jets for another season or 2. And the second thing is about who they didn't draft. I brought it up a little bit earlier. I won't drive the point home too hard. But the fact that through first 3 rounds they passed on all of the top offensive lineman prospects speaks a little to me about what they think of Breno Giacomini in the short term. Brian Winters is a younger guy in the short term. They're pretty confident in those starting 5 that they have right now. After the Clady trade replacing Ferguson, I think that they're confident, at least in the short term, in what the offensive line can give them.
I agree with your second takeaway, Adam, and that was actually going to be mine, so I have to change it up a bit. But I agree with your points about it's fine, whatever. You stole my jet fuel predicted pick too, so I mean, whatever. You're a Maryland guy, but
Stop.
Mac's going to give me infinite forgiveness for just being in the same school.
Hey, you know what? Early bird gets the worm. All right. Yeah. Early bird.
Fine. I can't complain with that. So I have to think of another takeaway now. I guess my takeaway is that it's going to be really fun watching the Jets defense this year. And I don't know if they're going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think they will certainly be a top 10 defense. There's just too much talent there. But what'll make it really interesting is seeing how the Jets use all these pieces. They have so many guys that can be used in different ways. They have Sheldon Richardson, who could be used as a stand-up linebacker or an end. We don't know if Muhammad Wilkerson will be on the team. The Jets have newcomers. They have McClendon, the defensive tackle. Marcus Williams will be stepping up in a bigger role. 2 versatile rookies. You have Lee, and then you have Jenkins, who could see a nice role. Molden stepping up into a starting role. There's so many new pieces, versatile pieces. Just it'll truly be fascinating to see, A, how they play together, but B, how Todd Bowles manages all of them. It'll be really fun to see.
Yeah, I like that too. Definitely agree. I think the Jets should have taken an offensive lineman in this second day. If you're not going to do it in the first round, and they didn't really have a reason to because it would have been a reach at 20. Um, there were some guys available. Cody Whitehair, Jason Spriggs, who was taken a little bit earlier. There was someone else I liked who I can't think of, but that's okay. There were options out there for the Jets to take an offensive lineman, and they didn't. They went with Hackenberg. They're really, this is an upside pick, and I guess my big takeaway is this Christian Hackenberg pick 2, 3, 5 years down the road could be the pick that defines Mike Maggagnon's legacy in New York. It's that big. I mean, yes, it's only a second-round pick, but it's a second-round pick for a team that has a lot of needs that they could really address in this draft. They don't have a pick after the 4th round until the 7th round, so I mean, there's going to be, you could maybe find a flyer in the 5th or 6th round. They won't even be able to do that. It's going to be a boring day for us on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think they really could have addressed the offensive line and didn't. And this is going to be a pick that, this is what fans will think of when they think of Mike Maccagnan for the next couple of years. I mean, this is that big of a pick. Another quick thing, Jets are going to be versatile defensively. They're going to have a lot of moving pieces. Jarvis Jenkins, Jordan Jenkins, McClendon, like you mentioned, Sheldon, Leonard, Moe, if he's still on the team, which I think he will be, David Harris, Aaron Henderson, Deron Lee.
And that's just to speak of the front seven of everything, and to think about the secondary behind that, too.
Exactly, and in the secondary is another spot where I think they could have addressed, and they haven't yet. So that's what I'm a little concerned about. I mean, if they can get, I know a lot of fans think Marcus Williams will develop into that number 2 starter. There's no guarantee of that. I mean, yes, he led the team with 6 interceptions, but sometimes the ball just finds you, and you got to put yourself in that position too. But I think the Jets should probably target a cornerback or an offensive lineman round 4. And I think the Jets' defense, like Max said, is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, especially if Moe's back. Even if Moe's back for the 2016 season, then he bolts for the Cleveland Browns next offseason, that defense is going to be a boatload of fun to watch. Too bad they don't have a quarterback right now to sort of give them some offensive punch.
So we'll turn on half the game. We'll make an agreement amongst the Jet Fuel staff that one of us will get to watch the defense, then turn it off, and the other one will cover the offense, and we'll do a coin flip every week.
That would be, and I'll probably get stuck with the offense every time. Okay, real quick before we wrap up, one position you think the Jets need to target in the 4th round? No analysis, just the position.
In the 4th round, give me an offensive lineman.
Adam?
Just to differ from Max, I'll throw out a more of a skill position. I'll say tight end because no analysis.
No analysis. Gotta cut this off.
I'll say tight end just to be different.
I'm still not done with some of my draft work yet, but yeah, tight end's a good one. I'll go cornerback just to be different. I think that's where they should address that, or offensive line too. So this has been a Jet Fuel video. Be sure to follow all of us on Twitter. If you aren't already, you're missing out. Follow the site at New York Jet Fuel. Follow Max at mmarcilla98. Follow Adam at Adam_Zalanka. Follow me at Real Matt Barbado. And I think I already mentioned this, but follow the site at New York Jet Fuel. This has been a Jet Fuel video. We want to thank you for tuning in, and we will keep you up to date on all Jets news and notes as the NFL Draft sadly wraps up on Saturday. This has been a Jet Fuel video.